Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm telling a story I wasn't entirely sure I'd be alive to share. I've trekked the Himalayas and biked through the Amazon, but nothing prepared me for the 3-day Devil's Circuit in the Atacama Desert. It's widely considered the hardest ultra challenge on the planet. We're talking 250 kilometers of brutal terrain across some of the driest land on Earth. I went in thinking I was an elite athlete. I left realizing I was just a guest in a place humans weren't meant to survive. Here is the play-by-play of the most intense 72 hours of my life. Day 1 started at 4 a.m., but by 10 a.m., the thermometer hit 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The air is so dry, your sweat evaporates before it even dampens your shirt. We covered 50 kilometers on the first day across jagged salt flats that look like frozen waves made of glass. Every step felt like walking on broken mirrors. The goal was to reach base camp before the sun peaked, but the heat was relentless. I watched 3 participants drop out before the halfway mark, their bodies simply shutting down under the Atacama sun. This isn't just a run. It's a self-supported survival mission. You carry everything. My pack weighed exactly 15 kilograms, containing my sleeping bag, emergency medical kit, and precisely 2,500 calories of dehydrated food per day. About 6 hours into day 1, disaster struck. My hydration bladder developed a pinhole leak. I watched precious milliliters of water, my literal lifeblood, soak into the straps of my pack. I had to ration what was left, sipping only when the dizziness became unbearable. Day 2 introduced a new enemy, elevation. We left the flats and headed into the Andean foothills, climbing toward a 4,000-meter peak. At that altitude, the oxygen levels drop to about 60% of what you're used to at sea level. Your lungs burn, not from the heat, but from the lack of air. Every 10 steps, I had to stop to keep my heart from beating out of my chest. The volcanic slopes were loose scree. For every 2 steps forward, you'd slide 1 step back. It was a mental war of attrition. By the end of day 2, I hit the wall hard. My body temperature spiked to a dangerous 104 degrees, and my vision began to blur into a kaleidoscope of colors. I started hallucinating, seeing a lush forest where there was only sand. I collapsed about 2 kilometers from the night's checkpoint. The medical team had to intervene, cooling me down with ice packs and monitoring my heart rate. They told me if I didn't stabilize in an hour, I was being medevaced out. I was hovering on the edge of complete organ failure. Day 3 is known as the Long March. It's the final leg, 80 kilometers in a single push. I woke up with my feet covered in blisters and my spirit crushed, but I refused to quit. We crossed the Moon Valley, a landscape so alien that NASA uses it to test Mars rovers. I ran for 20 straight hours. The sun went down and the temperature plummeted from 100 degrees to below freezing in a matter of hours. I was running by headlamp, following tiny reflective markers in the infinite dark, completely alone with my pain. I crossed the finish line in San Pedro de Atacama at 3 a.m. I didn't cheer, I didn't cry. I just sat down and let the medics take my shoes off. I had lost 4 kilograms of body weight in just 3 days. My feet were unrecognizable, and my kidneys were struggling. But I had finished. Out of 100 starters, only 42 of us made it to the end. Looking at that finisher's medal, it didn't feel like a trophy. It felt like a receipt for a debt I'd paid to the desert. I had survived. People ask me why. Why put your life at risk for a race? The answer is that you don't know who you are until you're stripped of everything: water, comfort, and safety. I learned that my mind is much stronger than my body. If you're looking for your own ultra, it doesn't have to be the Atacama. It just has to be something that scares you. Respect the environment, know your limits, but never be afraid to test them. Just maybe, bring a backup hydration bladder. Thanks for listening.